Well,
Oh man, if we'd only been going live for the
mm,
last no,
I
too
know.
many people have been mad. Welcome to the Puff and Ponder podcast, where conversations ignite. I'm your host, Kevin Shahanand, and joining me as always is my co-host, Kerr Viajante.
What's up, Kev?
What's going on? Well, for the listening audience, how are you doing tonight, Kerr?
I'm doing wonderful, Kevin. I'm tired, man. It was like
I
that
hear it.
that movie. What the hell was it? Where couples retreat. Baby, I'm tired. Baby, I'm tired.
I'm tired. I even got a nap, and I got a nap today, but this has irritated me because I was like, hey, what's going on, Jason? So like at 3:00's too late for a nap. Like it's just not what I mean. I like 2:15, 2:30 is
Hmm.
really the latest to get like an hour nap in, but I'm like 3:00. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to the bed, lay down for a little bit for an hour. I go to the bedroom, Jessica and the dogs are in bed. And I'm like, oh, I was gonna take a nap. She's like, nope, I'm here. I think I might lay down. So I grabbed my pillow, my blanket, and I came in the lounge here and sat in a chair and kicked the footstool up. And luckily dozed off for about 50 minutes. And then my phone was blowing up with my group chat with my daughter and Jessica. So I get up, go back to the room, put my pillow away, and then she never went to sleep, Care. And I knew it. I knew she wasn't gonna take a nap. And here's the rule: if you're in bed in the middle of the day, you either take a nap, or you get the fuck out, and you go to the couch. You go somewhere else. That bed is for napping folk. And that
So
was
what was it? She just wanted to stay comfy in bed, or do you think it
yeah,
was
yeah.
a?
She
Or do
wanted.
you think it was or do you think that there was something deeper, like I don't want Kevin to nap?
No. She considered napping. She considers
Okay.
taking naps, but she doesn't commit to it. Like when I commit to a nap, it's just I don't get on my phone and play around and then hopes that I doze off. I nap. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be napping. I'm going to sleep in
Right.
5 minutes. I'm gonna be asleep. I don't fuck around,
Right.
and then for an hour, I'm like, no, well, so kind of room. But
Funny.
now I got my knee brace on because I'm 6'1", curled up in a chair and a footstool, taking a nap, and now my knee is in an awkward position, and
Mm.
so yeah, that sucks.
I took a power nap before. Innocent. What's going on, bro? Um. Oh, God dang it, Kevin. Kevin, stop it.
Oh,
The
right on. Thanks, bro.
I took a power nap before the show. Like it was just one of those days. I was sitting there watching freaking TV, The Night Agent, which season 2 is just fucking just started off with a horrible acting. I just kind of sat there like this, up 5-10 minutes. That's all. If and when I do take naps, which are very rare, they are usually going to be 5 to 10 minute power naps. That is it.
I took a nap last week on my exercise bike. I was so tired at work, but I try and get at least 3 or 4 days in, 20 minutes at a time on my bike at night. And then I was pedaling and I kind of put my head down because I got my headphones in, listening to my music, and like I woke up, like and my legs were still going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, how can I extend this shit? I hate being on the bike. Like, so that's my goal now, is trying to figure out how long that I can nap and still have my body do the work. Cause that right there, that's the goal, is just figure out some, exercise while you're sleeping. You don't have to muscle through it.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta,
Yeah.
I gotta figure out how to extend that length.
Yeah. I'm not a very big napper, like I said, and I literally will nap for like honestly, it's 5-10 minutes. I mean, there's been times where I've really exhausted. I may take a little bit longer of a nap, but all in all, man, I can't do it. I can't do. Some folks can lay down for 30 minutes. Some people can do an hour nap. I do an hour nap. Forget about it. I'm fucking done. You might as well just stick a fork in me and just call it a day, because I'll be miserable. I'll be miserable then. Because
I'll
little
take an
bit.
hour nap. I'll take an hour nap before I go to bed. And then,
My sister does that. My sister's
yeah,
like that. She got a
yeah,
nap before she goes to bed.
yeah, I have no problem napping before I go to bed. I have no problem sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours getting up, having breakfast. I'm like, fuck it, it's 10 o'clock. I'll take a little nap.
Wow.
Just go right back to sleep.
That. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm like Kramer, where he's like, that episode where he's like, Leonardo da Vinci every 3 hours, 20-minute nap. Therefore, he would have lived to be 120 all based off the time. I'm like that. I'm like, okay, I go to bed, I get 6 hours of sleep. I'm freaking happy. When I'm up, I'm up. I can't sleep.
You talk about Leonardo da Vinci. I sent you a TikTok earlier, and it was on Pablo Picasso, and it was a comedian. And he started off and goes, "Anybody know when Pablo Picasso died?" And he's like, 1967. He goes, I thought it was like 1513. He's like, Pablo Picasso watched 6 Super Bowls, was able to drink Mountain Dew, and he drove a car.
Yeah.
And he goes, think about it. And I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when Bill Burr talks about Scientology, he goes, who started L. Ron Hubbard? He goes, he had a driver's license.
Oh man. What are you enjoying tonight? What do you got puffing on there?
Well, I'm going to show you what I'm puffing on there, and then I was wondering, do you got to do some reading too?
Oh, I do. So we'll say what we're enjoying.
I'm enjoying the Grand Robusto or Robusto Grande. This is the Edition 35. This is a 6x54.
Oh, right on.
6x56. I lie. 6x56. I didn't want to go all the way to 60 ring gauge, but it's a 6x56. The cigar band fits perfectly in the back. So this is a perfect size for me. I have had some 6x60s. I think box press is easier when you're smoking a 6x60.
Without a doubt.
But yeah, the guy Rex at Boda wanted to have the big Tony in a 6x60. Actually, he wanted it more bigger ring gauge, but we did a 6x56.
So
you're at yourself.
I am enjoying the Mustang by Stallone. We had I forget his name offhand. Stallone Cigars on the I Tap That Cigar show a while back. I found one of his cigars, and I'm like, right on. So I picked that up, and then I got
Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, Sylvester Stallone. So. But yeah, so before we kick off the show, we'd like to thank one of our partners for being a supporter of the Puff and Ponder podcast, and that's JerkyGent.com. JerkyGent.com is not just another snack website. They're a flavor expedition for the connoisseur of craft beef jerky. Every month, their Beef Jerky Club subscription box delivers an assortment of premium mouthwatering jerky brands and flavors sourced from across the country. Their carefully curated selections ensure a unique tasting journey for their subscribers with new brands and flavors introduced every month. Description in the video link in the video description and the podcast description below. So Kerr, I had a
do you remember we went through a little phase there where the jerky boys were a thing?
I have every one of their Tony. It was Tony something. Tony,
but yeah, it was they had their whole freaking crank calls, and they made a movie about it.
Oh yeah, I remember the movie. What's going on, Sydney? Long time no see. I had everyone. I think I still have every one of their CDs. The Jerky Boys. I mean, hilarious.
Tony Barrios.
Tony Barrios. There you go.
Oh. Sorry about that.
But I loved the Jerky Boys, and I love jerky. But jerky's so expensive. So and Jessica brings home jerky. She always yells at me because I eat her snacks. Jessica's not a snack person, so whenever she does have like some snacks, like she'll bring home like some good ones, and then I eat most of them, and then I get yelled at. So she's like, "You have your own snacks." I'm like, "Yeah, but yours are better this week, so I'm eat yours."
But that jerky, I mean, they're getting samples of that because, like you said, if you go in and you try beef jerky, like you go to these different, jerky stores and stuff. Sometimes it gets, the packages are just too big, and if it sucks, then you're stuck with a big packet that was rather expensive, and you don't have the ability to be like, "Oh crap," How about if you just had a sample of it, and if you like it, you can order more.
Yeah, and then we went to that jerky place where I still have some of the seasonings in St. Augustine. They sell the jerky, the salsa, and the sauces. and they give you little samples of each jerky, so you could at least try a little bit then, which was really nice. But you can't do that. They frown upon that in the 7-Eleven is opening up the package.
Yeah, that's why I
Or
said the sponsor. That's why I like them.
Oh yeah,
really
it
cool.
just makes nice little 2.5 ounce package.
Mhm.
Makes it nice. Kara,
So
I
you
got a
were saying.
surprise. So I got a surprise visit from the ATF today. So
Well, let's see. I do see alcohol, and I do
yeah,
see tobacco, and from the way you talk, I do believe that you have firearms. So they were
yeah,
within their rights of kind of talking to you.
that's it. But he did call me up, and which was surprising. He goes, I know your business is based out of your house, and then but we're not allowed to come to your house. And I thought that was the strangest thing, because the ATF has pretty good, like they can go wherever the hell they want to go,
Pretty much.
but yeah, they can't come into your house. So I'm like, all right. So he met me at the boat ramp right around the corner, the Coast Guard boat ramp, and super nice guy. Actually took one of my business cards, and he goes,
Oh,
hey, this is my area now. He goes, I always got friends that are into cigars. He goes, I'll pass along your info. I'm like, sweet. So, but yeah, he goes,
I would have sent Jessica and watched from afar to see if it was
yeah,
a sting.
a sting opera. Yeah. Where they're going to bring some underage kids, see if I was selling cigars or something, but,
Like everybody swarms on Jessica. You're like, I knew
yeah,
it.
yeah, I'm out.
I'm
But yeah,
out
he
here.
said, he's new to this area, and none of these places have been inspected since like 2019. So he goes, we got we got a lot of work to do in this area. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. Luckily, I mean, it only took 5 minutes, because I don't.
Why the hell did he start with you? No offense, but I mean, if
No,
they
he didn't start. He was already in town, doing
okay.
a bunch of locations, and they called me up and he goes, "Hey, I'm not too far from your house. I'd like to come right over there if I can. If we can meet somewhere near your house." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine. All I had to do is bring a picture of my tobacco license and my last couple invoices where I bought cigars for resale, and then that was it. Asked me, how, if I age verify, and I go, yeah, that's all done by my website. It's all electronic. My credit card company all does the age verification. So minors cannot, unless they steal their parents' credit card,
Right. Yeah.
there's no way they can. But I go, at the end of the day, that's not my fault. So
You do an age verification at your website in the beginning. Whatever happens from that point going forward is kind of out of your control. And
yeah, yeah.
even the age verification is kind of like, let's call it what it is. Things are going to, I guess, in Florida, the what is it, Pornhub, or there's some porn spots down where you have to verify with your driver's license.
Well, no, they pulled out
So they
completely.
pulled out completely.
Yeah,
No pun intended.
what? Yeah, whatever company, like that parent company that owns multiple of those sites, they pulled out of Florida completely. Like
Oh,
there's no age verification at all. They just
I thought they
pulled
were doing a driver's license because I remember reading that.
the other sites, I guess, that was the driver's license thing. And then but yeah, the one company, I forget what their parent company is called, they just pulled out completely. They're like, no, we're just
Oh,
shutting it down until they change that. Oh man, that ADV is such a good cigar, man.
La Aurora,
No, Adventura.
Adventura. Oh, I was
Yeah,
thinking of ADN,
yeah.
the DNA, La Aurora. The Secret Society. Yeah, okay. I was a little. I think I'm still waking up a little bit here. So yeah, the ATF, everything went fine. You're not.
Yeah.
He didn't like
Yep.
place a freaking bug on you or anything.
No, super cool guy. He says, "All right, I'll see you next year at the same time." And I'm like, "All right, give me a holler."
No
And then
kidding.
that was it. Yeah, I mean, because we don't sell cigarettes, we don't sell vape, we don't sell any other nicotine products, no alcohol, so I don't have to worry about tax stamps or anything else. And he's like, he goes, yeah, you work out of your house, it's not. And I go, yeah, it's not public. People don't come in. People don't spend money at my house. Everything's done online. So he goes, all right, this one was easy. So we were done.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little nervous when they called. It's like when I got that phone call from the FAA, and boy, about the drone thing, about the drone video, boy, that was a good thing I was a nice guy on that, because they could have fucked me.
Yeah.
So But
Anytime the government comes a knocking, it's like because they. I mean, look what the IRS does. I mean, they literally can come in, turn your life upside down, and be like, "Okay, we're done. Have a great day," and then just freaking, you know, leave you
oh yeah,
in disarray.
yeah, without a doubt. Luckily I said, my accountant praises me. He goes, man, you keep meticulous books. And I go, yeah, every receipt. I don't do the bullshit. I don't write off, even if it is a dinner, food and beverage. I don't write any of it off. None of it, just because I don't want ever to be an issue. I write off hotel rooms for trade shows and things like that,
Yeah.
but none of the food, nothing, because like I said, I don't want them. Well, did you really, what did you talk about? Was this business? And I'm like, no, just not doing it. So
No, I guess that's a good conservative way, and better to be safe than sorry. Don't. I mean, it's one of those things where, um, you know, you don't want to raise any red flags, or at least have something out there that gets them to start picking at the
yeah,
scab.
yep.
Because let's face it, it's like anything else. When you start peeling back the onions, they'll find something. You start peeling back the onion, no matter how good you are, they'll find something, or they'll make a big deal out of something that you may not have known. But yeah, you just want to
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
yeah. There's probably things I'm doing wrong that I'm not telling my accountant, that he's not catching, but he does give me. I mean, I got a pamphlet every year it's every bit of 40 pages that he sends me with. It's got to have 1,000 questions on it. Answer yes, no, and if you answer yes to any of these, you got to give details, and so he prepares me really well, so I
yeah.
know, and that gives me an idea throughout the year of what I'm like. Oh, hey, I remember this question on my sheet. So, but
What T-shirt are you wearing? Because it kind of looks like the from up, where he's got all of his little pins or bottle caps on there from his scout troop.
Well, Bill Nye, the Science Guy, invited me personally during a podcast I was watching to join the Planetary Society. He did a podcast with Neil deGrasse Tyson. They're really good friends, and he talked about all the work that the Planetary Society does. And Bill Nye is the president this year, so I joined. These are all the planets. They even have Pluto on there. So
Really?
yes. They even have Pluto.
No
So,
kidding.
yeah, I think there's some moons as well, because there's a lot more. There's 4, 8,
I was
12,
gonna say, dude,
16.
that's
I think
I don't I don't
there's
know about you,
20.
Kev. I don't know about you, Kev. I know that geography is not your thing, so we
Oh,
can
yeah.
expand geography outside of the orbit
Oh, yeah.
of the Earth. Is Titus on
Yeah.
there or Europa?
Yeah, there's Callisto.
Yeah,
There's
that's a moon.
yeah, yeah. So there are some moons on. There's Europa.
Yeah, some of those moons
Yeah.
are just as big as planets. I mean, the ones that are circling Saturn and
Oh,
Jupiter.
yeah. Yeah, Europa has the best, they say, and they say that most likely that we're never going to find life on planets. We're most likely going to find life on the moons.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, so that's what they are. They're planets. So it was only like Kevin is truly Sheldon. Yep. So I don't know. It was only, it's not too much, like $50 a year or something, to join, and it all goes to, it's all a nonprofit, and so it's I'll join. I mean, if Bill Nye, the Science Guy, I mean, so even though I don't believe in some of his newfound political beliefs and aspirations, and which
just stick to fucking
I
your whether you're astronomy, your
I know.
your Neil deGrasse Tyson, same thing. It's like, listen, stay in your lane. The old saying, right? Stay in your lane.
I don't want to know. Entertain me. Give me knowledge, because I don't want, I don't want to learn something about you. Not that I don't like it, but it's like I don't want to hear it.
No,
I don't want to hear it. I want to expand my knowledge on the universe. I don't want to know, about, like Jenica, stick to the potato clock. Yes.
Yep,
Just
that's
stick to the
right.
potato. Teach me, so, but yeah, either way, I grew up watching Bill Nye, the Science Guy. So
If you're a physicist, be a physicist.
That's it. That's all.
That's it.
That's all I want to know. The actors, the sports players, dance for me. Dance
Yep.
for me. Just my little monkeys, dance for me. And do your thing of what you're being paid for. And that's it. I don't want to know. Not that they don't have a right to
Oh
say
yeah,
that,
listen,
but
again, but
you know,
I do think that listen, it's like anything else. The Dixie Chicks learned the lesson the hard way,
yeah,
right? I know personally, like I am a huge, I admit, and I always have said, my musical taste like ends somewhere around 1996.
yeah,
It just does, right? Anything prior to that, yes. Anything after that, not so much. So I was like in my 20s during the whole grunge era,
yeah.
at its height, and I love Pearl Jam. But I didn't go to some of the Pearl Jam concerts because I'm like, listen, Eddie, here's the deal. All right, you're talented. You have a ridiculous skill of writing the most prolific lyrics and music. But I did not come to a concert to hear your political beliefs. I really don't care who you are voting for, who I should vote for, whatever. Sing. I want to hear Jeremy. I want to hear freaking Rearview Mirror. I want to hear freaking. I don't want to hear anything else. Just sing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind like during the MTV, the Rock the Vote, get out and vote, get out and vote. Don't
It's
mind that at
benign.
all. You know,
It's very
just
benign. It's very neutral.
yeah,
It's
that's
very
it.
empowering.
Get out and vote. Don't care. We don't care who you vote for. Get out and vote. That's what I want to see.
Yep, and Eddie
So
Vedder, the one concert, he changed the lyrics to "Yellow Ledbetter" to be some sort of anti-war thing. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa! You know,
yeah,
you didn't see Robert Plant up there, "Stairway to Heaven," changing those lyrics. It doesn't work that way. But you mentioned paying the $50 for the for your membership and for your T-shirt. Um, I want to bring up something tonight that Jennifer and I kind of encountered, and we've been going over our bills the last couple of days
yeah.
because
It's never good. Ignore
it,
the bills.
it
No,
well, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but here's the deal, right? Things are no longer this very linear process when it comes to bills. It's not like I can go, hey, here's my electric bill, here's my cable bill, here's this, here's that. There's so many miscellaneous charges, especially when they're coming through when there's charges on a phone, or like you have Amazon Prime and it's like, well, I got HBO Max through Amazon Prime. And then it comes through as a separate charge and it's through your Apple account because your Apple account's hooked up
Yeah.
through Amazon Prime. And then it comes through with absolutely no notification, like no identification rather.
No identification. Yes.
All it says is Apple iPay, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like,
Yeah.
1059 and you realize it's 999 with 6% sales tax. So the one thing that recently happened, and I want to share with everybody because we've kind of be careful for what you wish for. So for the longest time, we always everyone heard it all the time. We complain that the monopoly of cable, right? I don't have cable options in my area. All I am offered is that's it. Then came along, Direct TV or whatever. Then you had to have someone put a big effing satellite dish on your home,
Yeah.
which gave to be a pain in the ass. And if it rained, it went out. Then they started to modify all these different services. Now everything has become a la carte.
Yeah.
So now, they've created mini monopolies because it's like, okay, great. If I want Sling or if I want this, I can get my regular channels. I can buy HBO separately. I can buy Cinemax separately. I can buy Stars separately. And then when they start coming out with these shows, I think they do this on purpose, where every one of these services has a great show. So in order to watch that great show, you have to get the service. So now you're like, I was paying $80 for my cable bill. I stopped paying $88 for my cable bill and I got Sling. That was $35. Fast forward 2 years later, 3 years later, I pay $189 and it's so ridiculous. But so football is an example of where this is getting kind of crazy, right? I mean,
Buckeyes, 2 games on Peacock.
right. So So
insane.
so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'm a Rams fan and an Eagles fan. So I will root for the Eagles, and the Rams. So I want to watch the Rams game. I don't watch football during the year. I'll do some college, and you and I go back and forth, but
Yeah.
I watch playoff football. I just do.
Yeah.
It's when it gets good. So I want to watch football, and it's like, oh yeah, Fox, ESPN, and Fubo or Fubo.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking, I don't have Fox. I don't have Fubo. I don't got freaking ESPN. I don't got any of those things. I got everything else, but I don't have that. So we're like, hey, you know what? You do the old, sign up for a free service for 7 days. You sign up, and they're banking on the fact that you're going to forget about it, and then you don't cancel it. So we get Fubo. It's like $84, $20 off, $64, right? So I'm like, okay, well, then we can make a decision on whether we're going to keep it, drop it, keep our sling that we have, drop it. So I was talking to Jen. I'm like, how much is it? She's like, well, it's $84, but it's a $20 discount for the deal. So it'd be $64 for the first month. Like, okay. So I turn on and I'm looking through this because I'm looking to see what kind of bundling that they have, see if we can save some money somewhere because we got so many different channels. So I go under our settings and I'm like, it's $100. She's like, no, it's not. It's $84.99 and then $20 off is $64.99. I'm like, right there on the screen, service XYZ amount $100. I'm like 29 cents. It's like, no, it's 84. I'm like, okay, I know what you're telling me, but I know what I'm looking at. So as we went on our account online. Everywhere on this channel, it is promoting these different deals that you can get, right? Everyone, 84, 64, blah, 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 blah. So when I start digging in a little bit deeper, they charge, and they don't tell you this, they charge a regional sports fee.
Yep.
And it changes from region to region. Ours is $15. So our $85 goes to $100 for a $15 regional sports fee to watch regional NHL hockey. I don't want to see the fucking, Carolina Panthers or the Carolina Hurricanes. Basketball, I don't want to see the Hornets. But they don't have that anywhere in there. It's not until you sign up, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, there it is on the charge. So just whenever you get these different services, or you'll see, hey, it's only this much, then this much, and it jacks up. Be very careful. Look at the between the lines, read between the lines, because a lot of these services will end up jacking you up, and really it's not prominently displayed anywhere on their website.
And the one thing that I would stress for everybody to do, I know there's a couple credit card companies that offer it. I love that my Capital One offers it for most reoccurring subscriptions. If it's like a year thing, like I had some magazines where it's like, oh, man, there's no way I'm going to know in a year. Remember that. I just had one that renewed and I disputed it on PayPal. I go, hey, they didn't tell me in advance that it was renewing. I would have canceled it. You cannot go to the website and cancel. I looked everywhere on the website. There's no way to log in. And I go, that's against the law. I go, that's against FCC regulations for them to make it unduly hard to undo a
Zoom's
website.
like that.
But what's that?
Zoom's like that.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So So Capital One, I go to CapitalOne.com, log into my account, and then I create a new credit card number. And it's a one-time only credit card number. It works once, and that is it. So I can have a subscription, or if I want to try like a 7-day trial, 30-day trial of something, I can put in the credit card number that Capital One gives me.
Okay.
It links to my account. The first charge that goes through, when they try to bill it again, it gets declined. And Capital One, we don't have that card. There's no card with that number in existence.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, Capital One, I think Discover, there's a few. I think there's probably a lot of them now that offer it, but it's such an easy way to go. Like I said, you want to do that 7-day trial and you're setting the alarm in your phone for 7 days. Cause I used to have to do that with Sirius XM.
Yeah.
Every year, I would call up, hey, I want to cancel my subscription for next month. Oh, if you stay, we can offer you this. I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
finally last
Yep.
year when I did the same thing, the young lady goes, here's what we're going to do. It's $99 a year forever. She goes, you're never going to have to call in. He goes, if you lock it in now for as long as you have Sirius XM on both your vehicles, that's your rate, $99 a year. And I'm like, done. So I never have to call again to try and fight this, because it was always $99 and then it goes up to like $300. Oh, but love the bio. Thank you very much. Everybody always compliments the biohazard bag. Absolutely, absolutely love that.
Well, that's a good deal, and it's good when
Jeff,
they
what's
do
going
that.
on?
What's up, Jeff?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool when they do that. But I love that card idea because, like I said, when Jen signed up for it, she didn't know it's not on there. You don't find
Yeah,
out. You don't find out what if you don't look at it. Next
and,
time you get charged, you're like $100 fucking.
and
What
then
the
and then you
fuck?
and then there's no way to know sometimes. Like when I get my credit card statement, it's like, oh, it's a $3.99 for whatever bullshit company out of wherever. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't even know I don't even know how to cancel this. I guess I could dispute the charge, but it's just I just let it go, and it's
I'm
just
at the
like
point where
whatever.
I'm just gonna be like, I think it's like I gotta remove like my credit card from Apple because at one point, like we were getting,
Thank you, Nick.
I have no idea how, but it was like I think collectively we probably had like 8 terabytes or 10 terabytes of freaking memory, and I'm like, but we don't even use one.
Oh yeah.
So it's or the Apple service, the Apple Care. It's like I have insurance through T-Mobile, but then it's like they slap on Apple Care. That's like fucking $11 a month, for 4 phones, 5 phones. And I'm like, guys, it doesn't seem like much. It's only $2.99. It's only $3.99. It's only $5.99. Well, after freaking, a couple of its onlys, I looked at them like $217 a month in miscellaneous charges that I have to sit there for 3 hours and
Yeah.
cross reference and try and figure out what is what. And then they're not always taken out on the same date. And then a
Yeah.
lot of them are very, very similar in pricing. So now
Yeah.
it's like, is this $9.99? Is this my LinkedIn account?
It's
Or
word.
is this $9.99? Is this my
Yeah.
freaking, my Apple Pay? Or is this $9.99? Is this, Apple TV? And then when you call, I at least can go on and see what was purchased through like Apple, which is again moderately helpful. But then there are a lot of charges that are not on there that goes through, and it is so unclear and it's so easy to literally. I actually considered, and I don't know how it works, and I don't even know if it's how legit it is, but they have those apps that can go in and find out how many subscriptions you have.
I was wondering how exactly do they charge? I'm sure there's a fee. It's probably a recurring subscription fee. To
Yeah, subscription to remove your subscriptions.
so but you notate the phone. So for years, Wells Fargo, who I do all my banking with, they had and they still do have a deal, which I still have it. If you pay your cell phone bill through your Wells Fargo credit card, your credit card automatically gets you 2 free screens a year if you crack your screen, and it's
Okay.
free. You don't pay any insurance. It just not you just got to pay your bill with their credit card, and that's it. And then when I went, finally a couple years ago, and the phones are getting more and more expensive, I had to get the Samsung Care because it included theft. If it gets stolen.
It's Rocket
So
Money, True Bill. So he apparently that there are some of these apps to manage your subscriptions, but like they can manage your subscriptions, but do you have to enter each subscription? Because I'm looking for something that I don't want to have to dig through my subscriptions. I want someone who's going to go in
no,
and say, Carrie, here you are, Care. Here's your profile. Here's all your subscriptions. Here's where they're going. What do you want to cancel? What do you want to keep?
So from what I've seen online, it was you just put in your name and phone number, and then they'll dig through and find them for you. And that's what, and you don't have to put anything else in,
Okay.
so yeah, scans your mails, I believe. Yeah, so I'm not sure how they all work, but
Might find some subscriptions don't want to be found.
yeah. But yeah, it's I get them too, every now and it's like, what is this? And it's like, I don't know, $3, $4. I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't have that many. Jessica just went through hers last year because Gabby and her with the phones, and they'd have all these apps for these games and everything else.
Oh,
and like you said, it was only 99 cents or $1.99 through the app store. But when you add them up, and the next thing you know, it's $50-$60 a month. For
right.
then she'll go to Gabby's like, hey, when's the last time you did this? And then she's like, oh, I don't know. It's like, well, it's canceled now. It's done.
I mean, I had a couple of apps on mine that I was using for work. Like I had DocuSign,
Yeah.
not DocuSign, it was UScan. And then now it's like, I removed that subscription because I don't get reimbursed for it, but I removed that subscription because I could still keep the base model of it, which I still scan, documents and stuff, but I don't really need it anymore. You don't need it when you take a picture of something.
Yeah. Samsung has a picture to PDF.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. You just scans it, and then you can either save it on your phone or email it to yourself as a PDF. So you're done.
100%. I mean, it is just so much, and it's like it honestly was giving me it was very frustrating because it was very exhausting, and I had like three tabs of spreadsheets at one point looking at this and going, I still can't make heads or tails out of this, which is pretty bad, you know. And it's it like I said, it's some days you'll see $3.99. Well, I know we rented a movie, or
Yeah.
$6.99. I know we met, but
Fucking movies. That's what I pay Amazon Prime for. We see a movie, all these free movies. Oh, you can have this movie. It's $1.99. Why do I pay for Prime? It's
I know
just,
I'm paying to rent a movie from a place that offers that I pay every month so I can have access to rent movies. And you don't even
thank
need
God.
that.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll get with you more on that on Beer Bomb. Yes.
I mean, you can if you have a TV that's already set up with Roku, already built in, you don't even need Amazon Prime for that. But then when you tie in, like you said, if you have Amazon Prime and it's like you do a lot of mailing, it all makes sense and it's all this great benefits. It's like they hook you in and then they won't let you out.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and the FCC is cracking down. They are going after more and more companies now. For that, and their new mandate is if it's easy to sign, it needs to be just as easy to cancel a subscription as it was to sign up. If you allow someone to sign up online, you cannot have them, because I've had it before where you have to call. It's like, God, I don't want to call anybody and sit on the phone. And so the next thing you know, it's like, an hour later, and I just, they're trying to keep you on that subscription. Well, we'll give you 6 more months free. And you're like, okay.
yeah.
And it's just, but yeah, you need to be able to go online. You need to be able to unclick and cancel your subscription.
Yeah, I think it was Zoom that I had that issue where it was like, trying to find an area to to you know to get rid of my subscription was very painful. It was,
Yeah.
and then um, I ended up contacting him, and really I was pissed, and and then you feel like, oh well, I'm just all I'm doing right now is just I'm getting nowhere fast, and all it's doing is it's causing me more anxiety and more of a problem, and it doesn't make sense to me to even do this. So why am I? And that's a hell of a place to be. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where
Yeah.
when you just start throwing in the towel, that's a very, that's like Christ. Why am I even doing this then?
That's it. Now, and a lot of people don't realize this. Car companies are they're not think they're already adding subscriptions to cars. So if I'm not mistaken, I could be. I think it was Volkswagen that was the first. Like because a lot of people don't realize cars come with a lot of options, and sometimes something needs to be plugged in or it needs to be activated or
Hmm.
coded. Because it's easier to run like all the wiring for one stuff.
Yeah.
And then like for especially because you'll see all those button deletes. Those are called the poor people buttons because they don't have they got the fake buttons. But right behind that button is a plug-in. So all you got to do is buy the switch sometimes and plug that in and it works. Sometimes
Hmm.
you have to just go in there and activate it in the computer. But Volkswagen was the first. It was like I believe it was passenger heated seat, and it's like $3.99 a month, $9.99 a month to have
Really?
so your passenger can have heated seats, and they've added more, and then more and more manufacturers have added um, over the air software, and they charge you per month for
Wow.
a feature on the car,
Really?
or it stops working. Yeah, yeah, it's there's easily a half a dozen companies that are doing that now, charging you for features.
Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, you want the car at this price? Yeah, not a problem. Like, none of your heat seaters work. Your outside mirror, maybe the camera that's
No
built in your rear
shit.
view. Yeah, maybe the camera built in your rear view doesn't work. Like this doesn't work, and it's just all OTA software. It's like you can pay for the subscription, and then, you gotta, as long as you have the like I have OnStar on my vehicle, so I have Wi-Fi.
Right.
So it just automatically, but it'll shut it off. You miss a payment, or if you cancel it, just shuts it off via Wi-Fi, so it doesn't work anymore.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I knew like with some of the things like you had mentioned with
Doing good.
um, what's Majiggy's OnStar and stuff, but I didn't realize that you can now like it got to the point where you got a subscription just to heat your fucking seat.
Yep.
God dang.
Yeah, it's nuts what the manufacturers, are doing. It's just it's a la carte, just trying to make a little more money, versus having to spend that up front. I guess if heated seats are $1,000 option, but it's like, well, I'm only going to keep it for 2 years, and I'll pay the $399 a month because
Mhm.
I'm not gonna spend $1,000 for the next couple years, but it's like you said, like TV, eventually it's going to add up, and you're like, I'm spending $200 a month on my car extra for all these subscriptions.
Yep. It does add up. It does add up, and I did, like I said, it was very sobering because I got frustrated one day where it was like one day I got like a couple notifications like, hey, your blah 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 and Apple was just renewed. And I'm like, what in the hell? I'm getting like, what am I using? Like, what is all this for? And there's some stuff in there that's pretty straightforward. Like I said, it'll show you, here's your LinkedIn, here's this, here's that, and it comes out this time of the month, and you can kind of pinpoint it. But there's probably still another $50 in charges where I just you throw your hands in the air and I have no idea what it is or where it's coming from, or it's unnecessary.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt, with speaking of check engine lights coming on, the first one we've seen, I don't know if it's all Ford, but I know it's the new Mustang. The new Mustang doesn't come with a spare tire. And this is like, when I say new, probably the last like 3 years. It comes with a like a pump in the back, an air pump
Yeah.
that has like Fix-A-Flat built into the air pump. So
Yeah.
you can put the cartridge in and it'll pump. Well, when that Fix-A-Flat has a finite lifespan, so when it expires, a check engine light comes on your car that you
Oh,
cannot get
really?
off until you take it back to the dealership. They'll sell you a new cartridge
Oh, they'll
for
sell you
your
the
for,
cartridge.
and then they get in there and program it, and they can turn that check engine light off when they put in that new cartridge for your air pump, and I can't turn off with my factory scanner, or not. I don't have a factory aftermarket scanner. So yes, you got to look at a check engine light forever. and then until you go back to the dealership and pay to have that in there. Let's see, Rocket Mortgage connecting your bank account and automatically scanning your transactions. Oh, to identify recurrent potential areas of overspending and unused services allowing. Okay.
Yeah, I could use Rocket Money to help me with the reoccurring subscriptions. I do not need Rocket Money to identify overspending.
That's what Rocket Care is for.
That's what Rocket Care is for. It gives me a rocket freaking heart attack. It's it's funny that you say that because my niece, her tire was really kind of flat. I'd never fought with my sister, but I'm like, well, just throw up the spare on. She's like, it doesn't come with a spare. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
She's like, it doesn't come with a spare. But then let me ask you this: being the diary of a bad mechanic, which you have to have the Diary of a Madman by Ozzy Osbourne redone for a theme song for that.
Oh yeah,
which would be great. But I was always told that the Fix-A-Flat's great, but if you go to replace the tire, it is a nightmare because all that goop gets in there. You got to scrape it all off. It's a pain in the ass. That Fix-A-Flat, use it if you have to, but realistically, when it's a pain in the ass to clean up. So why would that be I mean, I know the theory behind it, which is more room, less weight, better gas mileage, et cetera, even for a spare tire. But yet you're encouraging the use of a product that when you take it in, guys like you are going to be like, this fucking sucks.
It sucks because you take the tire off the rim and it spills out, so it gets all over your tire machine. It gets all over your the ground around there. But you're throwing the tire out anyways because what they don't tell you is a tire can't be repaired after Fix-A-Flat's been
right. Exactly.
Yeah,
even if there's a nail in it.
So it's because the patch won't stick.
Right.
Because the Fix-A-Flat, and then the old Fix-A-Flat, it doesn't happen that much anymore. Your tire pressure monitor sensor is inside your rim, and liquid gets in there and it can ruin that sensor. Which that doesn't happen anymore. Most of all the Fix-A-Flat products are TPMS safe, so you can use those. But yeah, and Fix-A-Flat, in not one instance that I can recall in the 20 years I've been doing this, has Fix-A-Flat ever worked. Ever. Nobody comes in. Everybody that comes in with Fix-A-Flat in their tire, the tire's still flat, or it's in the trunk. Like, oh, hey, I put Fix-A-Flat in it, it didn't hold. Go figure. I don't know how they still sell
use the freaking put Fix-A-Flat in and freaking drive around for several weeks. I mean, I've used Fix-A-Flat on a tire. It worked, and it got me to where I needed to get to get the tire fixed.
Oh yeah, and then Matt here, yeah. Matt, you don't have any idea how many pissed off Kia and Hyundai owners would come in. They'd come in on a tow truck and they're just irate. Or we tell them that they have a flat tire. We don't have the tire. It's an odd size. And they're like, oh, just put my spare on. You don't have a spare. Then they freak out. I'm like,
can imagine.
I didn't build your car. Well, they didn't tell me that. No, they don't. And then Matt, not only do they not give you a spare tire, they don't give you a spare tire well. So you can't even buy a spare tire and put it. Now, for the first couple years, I think maybe for the first year or two, there was like a spare tire well where, you could go back and purchase a spare and put it in there.
As a Hyundai,
but now it's gone. It's just a flat trunk and you don't have anything, and more manufacturing.
I mean, really, let me ask you this, Kevin. If you're buying a Hyundai or a kid, my niece has a little Hyundai, you're not really gaining like a ridiculous amount of room when you do that. You mean, you have the well down there. How much gas mileage are you really saving is the first part of my question. And the second part of my question is
nothing to do with it, but yeah.
What is it just an expense?
Just an expense.
It's not like you're like, hey, see that Hyundai there? Yeah, that used to be $12,000. You see that one there? That's $11,000. Yeah, that's because we don't do the tires anymore. It dropped it $1,000. Like there isn't like a significant price for them.
I bet removing a spare tire from a vehicle will save $1,000 on a car.
When you're buying it?
I bet that spare, not having a spare, they can offer that car for $1,000 less.
Really?
Because it's, it's not just the cost. You got to think of just not just the cost of putting that, a spare tire, for Kia and Hyundai can't be more than $25, total package for as
I know
much
the
as they're
whole
not,
construction part and the whole building of the car savings. I mean, I get that part.
but it's the logistics. They don't pay a guy to procure spare tires and rims from two separate companies. They're not paying to have them mounted. They're not paying for storage in a warehouse. They're not thinking, of having to get them in, and
Right.
maybe that load of spare tires don't come in on time, so those cars don't get finished. So by deleting a spare tire, you're deleting an entire supply chain.
Right.
You're
It's
deleting
it's a
potentially
whole silo.
a whole silo. So it's not about deleting a $25 spare tire. It's saving tens of millions of
Right.
dollars. So when you factor that into every single car, you could probably knock $1,000 off of a car by not putting a $25 spare tire in a car.
The reason why I asked that question is, brought up some good points here. One of them is, that sounds great. I get my car, drive down the road, I get a flat. It's too bad for fix a flat.
Yeah.
Now I got to pay for a tow truck. Now it's got to get towed to the shop, and I got to pay for a brand new tire. My benefit of having a car $1,000 cheaper may not equate to the cost of the towing and the new tire, but the time. Where where do you get that flat tire? Is it in a freaking dangerous highway? Did the tire, I think that it comes with a lot of potential, a lot of variables where a lot of folks don't realize it until you actually are involved in it. And then it's like, well, shit, this fix a flat, this isn't, I can't do fix a flat. Now I gotta get towed.
That's it. There's a lot of things that people don't realize when they're going out. There are a lot of people that will drive a 10-year-old car, and you have a fixed maintenance cost. And then we see it all the time, and they'll buy like we had a guy recently. He had an older, it was probably 15 years old Chevy pickup, little 4.3 V6, takes 4.745 quarts of oil. His oil changes were always, $45, $35, whatever it was. He just used regular oil, and he went out and bought a newer, I think it was 22 or 23 Chevy Silverado, 6.2 liter. And he's all proud of it. And he's like, I've been saving this, my dream truck. Comes in for an oil change. And then, it was like $100 anymore. It was like $145 or $150. And he goes, what the fuck? And I go, yeah, you hold 8.5 quarts of full synthetic oil. And he's like, what? And I go, yeah. And like, they don't tell you little things like that. They don't tell you, Kia and Hyundai owners, and all of the Kia and Hyundai owners there, because for the most part, I've met some really nice Kia and Hyundai owners that take care of their vehicles. Money is no issue. Do whatever it takes. But a lot of them, they're not that way.
I met some really nice Kia and Hyundai owners. That sounds horrible.
But
we owned a Hyundai, Kevin.
But I've also met some broke ass Kia and Hyundai owners. They go out and they buy a new Hyundai or Kia, and then like they'll drive it, and then they'll get a flat tire. And then I come to them, all right, you got a flat tire. So we need to put 4 new tires on there. No, I only want 1. I go, you have all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
You don't get an option. Not here. I said, you want about screwing your car up, put 1 tire on it. You got 4 bald tires, put 1 brand new tire on there. And let me see, people like, I'll sign something. I go, that's not how we work. I go, you are more than welcome to have it towed somewhere.
Right.
We're not destroying your transfer case, because I know what's going to happen is when that happens in 2 weeks, you're like, well, they never told me that.
Yeah.
And people always say, well, I'm not that way. Well, you're not until you blow up a transfer case and the dealership tells you it's $4,000. And they're like, well, I'm gonna get Tires Plus to pay for that.
No, we told you. Yeah, we actually bought a Hyundai years ago. It was an SUV, and had really great ratings, but it was the first year, and I suspect it was the only year, that it put in that eco-friendly transmission.
Yep.
That needed to be replaced after less than 30 days on the road, which they did not have available, which they had to get from Korea
Yeah.
and wait for it to get there. And then, you know, remember we had that conversation about the engine. Remember when
Yeah.
we had that issue at the engine? I was like, I get my oil change. Like it's like we got extended warranty on it. We are religious with it. You know, here's what this. Well, you don't have a copy of this one oil change. I'm like, well, it's because we got it here. We got it. Well, I don't know if we can another one. With the engine, it looks like that. You know, there's some sludge in there. How the hell can be sludge in the engine? It's got 50,000 miles on it. You know, and then it got into that, and then you and I got in that conversation on those smaller engines, on you know how they burn oil and how there's buildup, and it's very sobering when you're faced with those conversations and realities, especially when you're a car owner and you're not a mechanic. I mean, I know enough to know what the fuck's up, but I don't, you know, nowhere near you. But it's just blows my mind.
It is. We had a Hyundai in on Friday, and it was for a check engine light came on. They pulled up because I had to get some air in their tires. And they're like, "Hey, my check engine light on." So the other technician goes out and scans it, and he goes, "I don't know what this code is." And he goes, "I've never seen it before." And it, you know, knock sensor code on a Hyundai. And he goes, "That's unheard of." And I go, "What code do you have?" And he said the code, and he goes, "Knock sensor." I go, "That's the knock of death code." And the customer goes, "What does that mean?" I go, "You got about 2 weeks. Your motor blows up." And he's like, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, it's piston slap." And that's what's setting that knock code. I go, your engine's about to let go. And they were like, they didn't know what to do. And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You know,
Yeah,
you're it's done. It's there's a reason why they call it the knock of death." I go, your engine's about to let go. Hopefully you got a warranty on it. If
just go
not,
trade it in.
clear that fucking light and go trade it in. But Hyundai, at least the one up in Sarasota where a buddy of mine works, they're pretty good about it. Of scanning, they plug in their computer in, because I can plug my computer in and I can tell you if someone's cleared the codes, you know, because people will bring in their vehicle and for like a pre-inspection buy. And if it's a really good customer, I'll plug my scanner in real quick and I'll tell them, I said, someone was in here recently and cleared a bunch of codes. And I said, I can't tell what they cleared.
Right.
I can only see that the life cycle has been reset back to like 10, and it should be 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, whatever. So I go, I wonder what they cleared. You know, maybe it was just an evap code. Maybe it was just a gas cap.
Yeah.
They just cleared it. I go, I don't know, but but someone's hiding something from you.
That's crazy.
What's going on? Cowboy Karate TV. Let's see. Nissan's gotten bad as well. You can't even change a wheel seal or rear main seal. They only offer to. Yeah, it's it's getting bad. It's getting bad with components.
We just bought another Altima, you know, like a year or so ago. I've owned several Nissans and always had really good luck with them. I mean, I owned a Nissan Sentra years ago when I worked at Enterprise Rent a Car. Then I bought a Pathfinder. That ran for a few years, was great. Traded in, and then I bought an '06 Altima. And I eventually traded that in as it was smoking in the dealership with 300,000 miles on it.
Yeah, Nissan got real bad in 2020, 2019, 2020 when they switched over to a gas direct injection, which a lot of companies had. Nissan probably had the worst design, and they're having a lot of motor problems on their smaller engines, just because of the design. And then for years, the manufacturers were blaming the oil companies, you know, for the oil sludging and the oil gelling, and that's what was getting the buildup on the valves in the motor. And then so the government came down. The oil companies spent tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, you know, redoing their oil packages and everything else. A couple of years go by, still having these issues with the engines. Finally, engineers got together and was like, bad design. Not just Nissan, all GDI gas direct injection motors. here's the inherent flaw, because it used to be your fuel injectors were pointing at your intake valve.
Mhm.
So it was spraying gas on the intake valve as it opened, and that's how the gas gets into the cylinder to
Right.
be fired. Well, that gas is a cleaner and a lubricant. It was always keeping that intake valve clean. Well, they
Mhm.
went to gas direct injection, to where like an old fuel injector, you might have 60 pounds per square inch, 120 pounds per square inch. Now the new valves are running 10,000 psi, but they're directly in the cylinder, firing directly on top of the piston. So now there's nothing keeping that intake valve clean, and the intake valves are getting carboned up, and just getting a bunch of crap on them. Yeah, the Ram 4th gen. Yeah, bad. Yeah, it's especially the diesels. But yeah, so now the manufacturers, or some manufacturers, are adding an extra intake valve in the side of the engine that just kind of missed everything inside the intake. So it kind of gets on everything and helps clean it out. But yeah, Nissan was the worst on the design, and they had cars just backed up out. They didn't know what to do for like a couple of years. They didn't know what to do. And now there's cleaning procedures and everything else you can have done. I'll eventually have the cleaning procedure done on mine. I'll take it in and have the intake pulled off and have the full cleaning. It's $500-600, but it adds a lifetime to your car. So yeah, it's a nightmare now. You just don't know. They're building these cars with technology faster than they can test the technology, and we're seeing that. Ford is just now recalling. I think they're like 800,000 or 900,000 trucks going back like 6 years. This is like the third recall they've had for almost 1 million vehicles.
Really.
Volkswagen, it's out of hand.
So right now, if you were to pick a vehicle that you think is a good, it's worth the money on what you're getting.
Anything
Where are you leaning?
Any vehicle on the road today made 2018 and older. 2019 is when all the trouble started on every single manufacturer, every one of them. No, there isn't a manufacturer that makes a reliable car that hasn't had any recalls or any issues 2019 and newer. All garbage. And I drive a 2021 Silverado, or GMC pickup. Like I said, I owned it for a week and had to have it taken back in to have a new torque converter put in. I was at the dealership today. I'm dropping it off Monday because I think the transmission's about to let go, and it's under warranty, and it's a pain in the butt, so yeah, they'll probably have it for a couple of weeks. So, and I kicked myself in the ass because I didn't, but I wanted the new generation, truck, mid-generation 21, so it was right after, the redesign change, but it was right before the new change. And I'm like, I'll gamble on it. Snake eyes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, 2018 is the newest I would go on any vehicle.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good to know. I think that's good advice too. I mean, it's I think anytime you buy a used car, it's always a roll of the dice. But I do feel like you said, if there are certain years where um, there's been some consistency with success, but also after certain years, if there's been inconsistencies of issues, you have to take that into consideration and almost take that risk, because the risk that you're taking with some of these other cars that you're mentioning that are after 2018, the risks are proven and are going to be guaranteed. So that's some good insight. I know I talked to you, and when we were looking for another car, I get your insight on what you're seeing and what you would think what would be a wise purchase. We went for, I think it was a 2016, Altima, I think is what we ended up getting. I had great, like I said, I had great luck with Nissan. I know it was pretty much the same thing as very similar, if not the same as the 2006. You know, it was the same. You know, the 2.5 four cylinder, blah 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 blah. Came with a good clean record, so you know, I felt really comfortable with that, and it's been working out well. Now that I've
Yeah,
said that,
yeah, exactly. And Matt's
I'm
right.
a
And Matt's
shit
right.
fan.
Yeah, Toyota and Honda, not too many problems. They still have
Right?
their, you know, 20s, 21. They still have their probably a lot less problems. You know, like on the Honda, definitely the Accord over the Civic. You know, the Civic's a little cheaper
Yeah,
made, but the Accord. You know,
I've owned an
Toyota's make
Accord.
Yeah,
They're
Toyota's
good
making some
cars.
good SUVs. He owns a Denali 3500 HD because he's rich. But you know, hate the death, the diesel exhaust fluid, absolutely that whole system, the whole regen system, absolutely a nightmare on those diesels. They can be, you know, it's just
I gotta
you
ask you
can't.
something.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you something about a car, vehicle, and I want your honest opinion only after you throw out your jokes because I know this is gonna be a joke, right? So, but before I do that, I am smoking a cigar that you sent me. This is a Drifter cigars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The
We got them
Hooligan.
on the our show, the I Tap That Cigar show comes back next week,
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna save one
and I'm
cigar for the event, but I mean, this is a
I just lit up something, and it's from one of these manufacturers that I don't know. I don't know the band. There was nothing on the no secondary. There's no UPC code. The band is so elaborate that you cannot read any writing on the
what
band
is it?
at all. I don't know. I think it says GRAN Tamboril, but I don't know if that's the brand. Tamboril's a place in the Dominican, or not the Dominican. Um uh
I ask you to hold up, but you can't zoom in, can you?
I can't, but there's no way. It's so the colors are so, it's just a horribly designed band. I think it just says Grand Tamboril on it.
Is it
Tamboril's in the Dominican Republic. That's right. It's
is it
red. It's got a shield in the middle.
huh? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
I got you. Is it? Oh, okay. All right. I'm trying to see if I can find it here. It's really not giving me much, to be honest with you. It's
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this is, if this is a PDR. No.
let me see. Hold it up real quick. Let me see if I can see some. Oh, dang, fucking help me out at all. That's that's
Yeah.
not helpful. Thank you. I
It
asked
is
for it though,
definitely
didn't I?
not.
And
Yeah.
all you see is Grand Tamboril on it.
Yeah, so there's a ton of cigars that have that.
I was gonna say I just narrowed it down to
Um,
about
it
50.
it did have.
Do you have a
Oh,
take?
so this is it. Grand Tamboril. This is the Gordo. Translate the page from Hebrew to English. Pass.
Did you take a picture of it?
I can take a picture of it.
Yeah, I think that's always helpful. You know, because whenever I'm old, so you know, I always take pictures of things like that, and then I have to do some super size zoom in. Um, this is a great part of the show where we show how old we are.
Yeah, I'm just gonna send. I'll send this to you
Kevin, put your readers on.
yeah, I zoomed it. That's all. That's literally all it says. And like I said, I found the cigar online, but it asked me to translate the page from Hebrew to English. So I'm like, no, no,
And
no, thanks.
I don't do a good job with the whole cross referencing of pictures. Um, yeah, that looks like that's nothing that I know. There's the Pravada crown on top. Um, no, no.
Yeah, even yeah, even doing a Google reverse image search didn't is that San Giuseppe? Is that what no. So All right, we spent enough time. Everybody's getting bored
Well,
as hell.
that's a tough
Uh,
one. Yeah. I was going to ask you something. I can't remember what I was saying.
you said something about cars. You go. You said all jokes
Oh yeah,
aside.
yeah, yeah. What are your thoughts on the what the hell Subarus?
Subarus are good good cars. I think this is a Giuseppe.
A what?
Um, San Giuseppe. It it is. So San Giuseppe cigars. That's what it is. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But they're a pain in the butt to work on. They do have their drawbacks. Biggest that Subaru doesn't make a sexy car. They never have. You know, it's just
I'm talking total like reliability. If not if it's sexy or not. If it's a good running vehicle, is it
they're they're
something that is
they're
reliable? You know what I'm saying? Stuff like
they're
that.
reliable. They're reliable, good running vehicles. It's like everything else. People always brag about Subarus go for 300, 400, 500,000 miles. They don't tell you about all the issues that Subarus have past the 100,000 mile mark. But that's with any vehicle. Once you get
Hmm.
any vehicle up past 100,000 miles, most Subarus are all wheel drive. Which in Subaru, they only allow you 2 30 seconds difference between any two tires. So if you're halfway through worn a set of tires and you have a flat, you have to replace all 4 tires. There's no more.
Okay.
There's just no buying one tire. So now I'm spending $200. You know, you got 3 new tires on there or 3 good tires. Now you're spending $1,000 on 4 tires because you got a flat. You know
Hmm.
that's a big downfall of Subarus that I don't like. Like I said, they're just not a lot of shops work on them because they are very finicky. Things are hard to access. They're not the easiest to work on, so you're usually relegated to going to a Subaru specialty shop,
Hmm.
which usually means you're going to pay a little bit more money, but
Right.
you're going to get better service because those people know how to work on Subarus, how to maintain them. So I tell everybody, I go, if you buy a Subaru, find a good Subaru shop that does your preventative maintenance and do everything there because they're going to help you keep that light. They're going to know, oh, hey, you got 30,000 miles on here. You need to get this, you need to think about doing this to, extend the life of the vehicle.
Right. Yeah.
So,
It's I actually had one as a Forester as a company car, and it was great. I mean, it ran well. It was reliable. Like I said, I really I enjoyed it. I luckily, it was a good company car, so I didn't have to really pay for anything on it, which is always a nice big plus. I mean, at that point, they can give you whatever. It's a company car, so every company car is great when you pay for it. But
yeah.
I really I loved it. I thought it was great, and I was wondering what your thoughts are because that was the one
Yep.
car, as vehicles we talk about all these different vehicles. You always see the commercial about how safe they are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But my thing is always, is it safe, but is it a good, reliable, long lasting vehicle?
Oh yeah, and I try and tell like the technicians, like the newer technicians, even the newer salesmen, when they're recommending something to be done on a Subaru. No, me and my manager Mike always go. Remember, that Subaru owner knows more about Subarus than you'll ever know. Do not bullshit them. Don't try and not bullshit. Not try and sell them something that's not needed, but
Hmm.
know what you're talking about. If you're trying to sell an air filter and don't say, oh, hey, doing the air filter prolongs this, or you can get bent. They're like, no, that Subaru owner will go, you are full of shit. Yes, I know I need an air filter, but everything you said after that is garbage. Now I don't want the air filter because you're bullshitting me. Now to answer Cowboy Karate TV with one quick, do either of you have opinion on Cubans? Cowboy Karate TV, I went to Cuba for a trip and I took my own cigars with me because I wanted to smoke good cigars. That's all you need to know about Cubans. I took cigars with me to Cuba
I like Cubans,
because
very nice people. Actually, just had
yeah,
Duncan Ramon Echevarria at the
yeah,
house the other day.
yep. And then Matt Super had that boxer, and like I said, it takes even the dealers are having a hard time with them. Yep. Um, care to talk to the service department manager, and they can tell you which ones are having issues and which ones not to buy. Same thing, service department manager, or go over to the parts counter. Go to the parts guys. The parts guys, like, hey, what are you guys replacing a lot on these?
Mhm.
They don't give a fuck. That's a whole separate part of the dealership. They'll
Yeah.
give you they'll give you the rundown on any particular model. But I tell people, I said, join forums, look online. Like I said, on every vehicle, what are the issues people are having with them? Some of the issues are minor and you can deal with, oh, this car goes through a lot of batteries. All right, I can deal with that. Or this car burns through wheel bearings like there's no tomorrow. It's like, stay away from this car. And it's just you got to do your research now. And even then, it's a roll of the dice. Did you get a Monday car, a Wednesday built car, or a Friday car?
Yeah. When did you get it? Because Lord knows, if it was a Friday car.
That's it. All those engines that was it Nissan or Toyota? I can't remember which one. The big V8s, that they're recalling because they had metal shavings left in the motor from the machining process. Guarantee those were all Friday engines. It's like, we wiped it down with a rag. We're probably good to go. We don't have to clean the motor before we put it together. Those are all Friday engines.
That's funny. Friday engine.
So, yeah.
It's years ago when I was working at Enterprise Rent a Car, I was running their car sale a lot, and it was like just being around that industry with the rental cars, and we work closely with dealerships. The guys who are doing our 100-point check and selling the cars. You pretty much could tell which were the good cars, which ones were the shit cars. When good things were going to happen and bad things were going to happen. And I feel like I'm so far removed from it. My dad's a mechanic, but he's 83, and he tells me now, you look at a car and under the hood, it doesn't make sense anymore. Growing up, he always purchased cars. He'd buy, an Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra for $800 because he knew if something went wrong on it, he could fix it. He could work on it. That was how he built it. That's how he bought our cars for the house, for the family. But it's amazing when you see. I almost kind of feel like there's a lot of cars out there that are following. And maybe I'm wrong. I want to ask you this question, Kevin. I want to see what your thoughts are on it. Just because we seem to be in this generation now of phones, TVs, everything's disposable. I mean, now when you walk into Walmart or you walk into Target or you go into Circuit City, there are just pallets of TVs that are like 80-inch television set for $600. Like they're plastic. You watch it for a couple of years. If you want to upgrade it, you go pay a couple $100. If it dies, it's not even worth getting it fixed or looked at. It seems like our automobiles kind of fallen in that same vein, because it doesn't seem like it. I can't see in 30 years from now someone driving around a 2024 vehicle as a classic vehicle like you do with some of the cars from the 60s and the 70s and the 50s and even some of the cars from the 80s. It just seems like they're more of this disposable type of.
Most of these vehicles, like I say, because now you can get a new F-150 Silverado. You can take out a 7-year loan, and you're going to be real lucky if you get 7 years out of that truck. Brian, buy an F-150. You should be good. As long as you know exactly what year F-150, what motor, F-150 with a 3.5 EcoBoost, 2019 or whenever they came out with that, 2020 to now, a $3 coolant fitting goes bad. The body has to come off. You got to remove the body from the vehicle to change this $3 coolant fitting on the F-150. Your body has to come off. It's absolutely insane.
Wow.
Ford F-150s, cam phaser noises. They got a timing chain a mile long. It just. And I'm not picking on the F-150 because GM had, transmission issues, engine issues. They all did. It's absolutely, are there any Circuit Cities left? there's a few.
No, there's
You
no
know,
Circuit Cities. I was thinking
no, no,
of
oh no, oh no. I was thinking of Best Buy.
Best
We only
Buy.
have it.
I think I was thinking Best Buy is in my head, and then I
Yeah,
think some recessive brain cell kicked out Circuit City since that was a thing. But yeah, there's no more Circuit City.
yeah. We live in a throwaway world. But what's sad
That's
is,
funny.
throwaway world. Like a week or so, we had a customer buy like it was a 2024 Silverado, and like, oh hey, congratulations, you got rid of his pile of crap Silverado that had 1 million miles on it, and he paid like 50 grand for it or whatnot. I'm like, oh, you got a good deal, or usually more than that. I go to pull it in, and it's the Silverado WT, the work truck essentially. It's got rubber floor mats. It's got nothing on the inside, no creature comforts, no amenities, a tiny little radio screen with like 3 buttons on it. And it was like 50 grand. And it's like, get out of here. I mean, it's nothing. If you want a semi-loaded vehicle, a pickup truck nowadays, pickup trucks especially, you're going to pay $80 to $85,000. Matt driving my buddy's got a 2023, the GMC dually diesel, and he paid $105,000 for a 4-wheel drive dually diesel GMC Denali.
That's how much I paid
$105,000.
for my first house.
Yeah, it's absolutely,
God damn.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Pulling the and here's one, especially on the Dodges, but it goes for Chevy and Ford because they all use the a similar high pressure fuel pump, and most of them are recommending when you buy a brand new vehicle, the first thing you need to do is you need to bulletproof the exhaust or the fuel system, and you need to replace the high pressure fuel pump on your diesel. So you buy this $105,000 diesel from the lot, and then you take it somewhere and you spend $8,000 on a new fuel pump.
Why?
Just so if it grenades and it lets go, it trashes the entire fuel system. Now you got a $20,000 bill. So you go in, and I think the fuel pumps are coming down in price. The aftermarket ones, the guys are getting real good at replacing them. But yeah, so you spend $100 grand on a truck, and then you take it somewhere the next day and spend $8 grand to have a new fuel pump put in.
That's
a better
crazy.
one. Absolutely insane. The Dodge Cummins, you got to have the rattle bolt replaced because they have a heater for the air, and they attach the heater. So they put a bolt through the top of this heater, and then they put a nut on the bottom side. Well, they failed to make it a nylon lock nut, or they didn't Loctite it, or they didn't put a lock washer on there.
Right.
So over time, that nut loosens. What happens to that nut when it comes off? Straight into the engine. It just clinked like a game of Plinko. Which cylinder is it going to go in today?
Oh wow.
So you buy a brand new Dodge, and you got to remove the tear apart the top of the turbo system, whatever the intake, to replace the washer on that nut. So there's yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, it drops down, and like, where's it going today?
Oh my God.
It's because it's going somewhere in that motor. But yeah, you hope maybe it gets lodged somewhere and stays there, but probably not.
So you feel like the vehicles today are just kind of it's the same throwaway generation, that whole mentality.
It's getting to be that way, and I know they're getting better. 2025 is looking like a really good really good deal, or really good year. I got the smoking in my Denali, paid $78K when COVID hit, and they're trying to sell the trucks fast. Oh yeah, man, COVID, that was the last good time to buy a car. Because I said they couldn't get people to buy stuff. But so 2025 is looking good for vehicles. They're really, because they're taking a lot of hits on these, spending tens of millions of dollars on these recalls, and they're finally getting their shit together. GM and Ford, after years of battling transmission issues, they think they finally have their 10-speed transmission fixed. GM's finally figuring out the cylinder deactivation thing and lifter thing, so they got a lot of that problems fixed. Dodge is fixing a lot of their diesels, to make them more reliable. So hopefully, knock on wood, 2025 is going to be good. 2026 is going to be even better. But But like I said, we're designing them so fast because we're an ever-changing society and we want new and we
Yeah.
want more inside of our vehicles. We want more stuff to play around with. And they got to cram more and more stuff in there, but I don't know how people are affording it. I don't understand. I mean, without putting a $10,000 or $15,000 down, if
It's
you're
crazy.
putting $5,000 down on a new truck that's semi loaded, you still have a car payment of probably $2,000 a month.
Yeah. Yeah. Car
You
payments
know,
are like mortgages anymore. I mean, when you, like you
they
said,
are, and until they go to a 10-year loan, the payments are not going to come down.
and it's the part that blows my mind is that it's an investment into a depreciating asset as well.
Yeah.
What it is, it's depreciating asset. It's when we used to have folks come in and say, "Hey, I want to buy a car." I'm like, "Okay, we offer financing." I don't want financing. I got cash. I'm like, would you invest $15,000 into a stock that's going to lose every year? It's going to depreciate 2% every month.
Oh
No.
my. Yep.
Well, that's what you're doing whenever you invest in this. Here's our interest rate. Do you think you can invest that money and actually yield that amount or maybe even more over a period of time? Well, hell yeah. I go, okay, great. Let's take a look at this amortization calculator. Here's what happens if you invest your money and you get this return back. Here's what happens if you get this loan. I said, here's the difference. I've talked many of people out of cash purchases, and I've talked a few people out of home equity loans that they were using to pay for a car. I said, your
I
home's equity is now tied into a depreciating asset. I said, take that money and add on to your home. It'll add
I,
value.
I, I've had dozens of friends, and I've pleaded with them, to not take out a home equity line of credit to pay. We're going to pay off both of our car loans, and then they get
Why?
rid of the car, and then they get rid of the cars like 3 years later,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, "Hey, you're still paying on that car for another 15 years, right? Like you took out a 20-year loan on 2 cars. Now you went out and bought something else, and you got a good deal because you owned it, but now you have, a $300 a month payment. But yeah, remember, you're still paying on
You
those
don't
other
really
two
don't own
cars
it
for,
though. It's a
but it's
transference
just,
of debt. That's all it is.
yeah, I never paid cash for a car. Like I said, but until recently, I always got a 1.5%, 2.2% loan. I'm like, I'll just take that because, why take money out of an investment or anything else
Right.
that's making me 7 to 12%, whatever,
That's what I'm saying.
that's good. That's going to
Yeah.
make more. But when I bought my truck now, I'm hoping this year the rates go down. I had to get like, I think my loan on my truck's like 6.5%. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, it
I've
popped
never
back
paid.
up.
I haven't paid more than 3%, 3.5% on a loan in 20 years.
Our
So
loan rates back in the day, this was what, the 90s, right? The mid 90s. I mean, they were anywhere between 6 and 8%. 9% maybe on some of the car loans. And then if you had some folks who had credit issues, we used to go through a company out of Texas and it was 18%. But a lot of those folks were trying to rebuild their credit. They needed a car, and
yeah,
I got it. I understood 100%. But I'm telling you, I talked so many people out of paying cash for their vehicles because, to your point, here's our interest rate. How much money can you make if you invest this money? Hey, you're taking out a home equity loan. What's your interest rate? Oh, it's a great interest rate. It's only like 3 or 4%. Okay, great. Why don't you freaking build onto your home and get a freaking automobile? Because if you're going to basically you're at this point you're not buying, you're looking at it from a perspective of you're buying a monthly payment, you're not buying a car. And if you're buying a monthly payment, then you will jump at anything in order to get the monthly payment that you want, and you'll make unwise investments with your money if that's what you're shooting for. And it doesn't mean that I'm not understanding of needing to be a certain monthly payment. I get it. We've all been there. We're all there. um but I'd have people come and go, "Hey, I want to buy a car and I don't want to pay more than $200 a month." I'm like, "Great, right there's
don't
your
ever,
car." And they go,
don't ever say that to the dealership.
"Oh,
Yeah,
I've had people coming in, but you used to say it all the time." I go, "Great, I can get you a car right there."
yeah.
The Hyundai Accent, I want a bigger car than that. I'm like, "Okay, well, you told me you want $200 or less." I said, "I could probably get you that for 180 if you have good credit." But that's a Hyundai Accent. That's like I took a shit this morning bigger than that car. I'm like, I realize that. Now, I'm going to ask you again. Do you want to buy a monthly payment or do you want to buy a car? Because if you want to buy a monthly payment, this is what you're going to get. I can take you that.
Yeah.
Or if you want to pay a little bit more, I get that Dodge Neon, and it's probably going to blow us rear main seal in about 10,000 miles.
Yeah, I can get you in that Cadillac, but I need $5,000 down.
Right.
Or I need $8,000 down. Well, I can't afford that. Well, then, you know, what are we doing here? Because
You know,
the dealership will always get you your monthly payment.
Yep.
They'll
it's
always
just
get you that.
moving
You're
money
like,
around.
it's a 7-year loan. You know, it's like, ooh, you know, and Cowboy Karate. Yeah, that we within the next couple of years, we're going to see 10-year loans. If we haven't seen them all, there's got to be someone out there doing it. You know, they're already at 7 years.
They do balloon loans now, interest like
Yeah.
a balloon mortgage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like they'll do loans now where you pay less up front.
$500. Yeah.
You pay less up front, and then
Yeah.
after like so many years that it increases your monthly payment. Just, you know, and it's like, hey, these are for, you know, kids right out of college that maybe for the first couple of years they get their legs, and then it's like, you know, or to your point, you know, average folk, they keep their car 3 or 4 years. Well, after 3 or 4 years, I'm going to trade it in, you know. But there are a lot of interesting ways to finance your vehicle. But I just, even now, and you look at it, I'm like, I really hold true to the cash component of it. It's like, why would you invest money into a depreciating asset? You would not buy $20,000, $30 or $50,000 worth of stock, and knowing it's going to lose money, and that stock at the end of 5 years is going to be worth $20,000. You would never do such a thing, ever in a million fucking years. You would do that. So why every time you buy a car cash, that's what you're doing. You are investing money into depreciating stock.
That's it. And remember, the dealership doesn't make any money on cars. So the dealership, when they buy a car, that's what pays the salary. That's what pays for the dealership to break even for the month. That's the only thing a car does. The service department is the profit. So
service department, and I know, like with when I ran our dealership, it was, you know, through enterprise, but we also made money on all the extended warranties. We made money on even interest rate. If we were getting an interest rate at 5%, we'd bump it up to 6%, 6.5%. So we made 1.5%. Now we would get that money if that loan was paid off early. Then, you know, we'd have to give some of that back, and we always had that kind of up and down. But overall, that wasn't the case. Or if they traded their car and the loan was paid off, but that wasn't really it at all. But that's, you know, we basically took the car out wholesale, and then we would mark it up, and we would keep it always under Blue Book value. You know, I think at the time we were using the NADA book. I think it was more the NADA. We would keep it under NADA retail, and the cars were very competitive. They had a 7-day buyback. If you didn't want it within 7 days, you gave it back. We charged $200, so we get it recleaned and everything else. But, you know, and then we had warranties through GMAC, and then we had a couple different lending places. But or, you know, we could hook you up with one of the local credit unions where you get a really good deal.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, it wasn't like this great big profit, you know, center. I mean, it was, you know, like you said, I mean, we made enough money where, you know, we would be able to pay the folks, you know, who were selling the vehicles and working for us. But you know,
yeah, when I bought my truck, I brought in a blank check from my credit union, and I said, yeah, just fill it out. You know, I'm golden, whatever, you know, up to whatever it was. You know, and I was well below that. And the guy's like, well, why don't we run the credit and see if I can get you a better rate? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want another hard pull. You know, and the guy's like, I think we can do better. I think we can do better. And I'm like, all right, I'll suck it up. See if you can do better. And he comes back and he goes, we can get you the exact same rate. And I'm like, yeah, I already have the check. And he goes, well, what if I can do, you know, 0.5% better? And I said, listen, I know how this works. You've already called the bank. They've given you a number. You've marked that number up so you can make points on it. And I'm like, I told him, I said, I'll split the points with you. You know, whatever you're marking it up. I said, I'm going to need at least 1% better. And I can't do that. And I'm like, that's fine. Just fill out the check, man. And he goes, yeah, but it's like 0.5%. It's going to save you this. And I'm like, yeah, but I said, it's the principle. I know you're making money.
Yeah.
I know you're making money on this deal. And I'm like, I'm just going to give it to my bank.
Yep.
You
I
know,
know. I know you could do better. I know you could give me a better deal. But
I
you're
know you
choosing
can give
not
me
to.
another. Yeah, I know you can give me another point. I know you
Right.
can.
Yeah.
I know you're probably making 3 points on this deal, you know, and yeah, so he lost it. You know, I'm like, whatever. So it's up to you, bro. You know,
Dude,
I don't
credit
care.
unions.
You know, but credit unions are still, you know, yeah, there's no more of this 2%, you know,
No.
so
No, we used to do a promo with credit unions every year during the summer, and they would run promos for a couple of weeks or months beforehand, and then we would ship all these cars to their location, to a location, and we would park them all in their parking lot. And then the next day, people would just show up who were already pre-approved. They did have some folks that were not, but you'd have everybody who already was pre-approved and just would test drive vehicles and buy cars. We got paid $100 a car to sell them. It was like
yeah.
shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it was actually it was pretty competitive too, because we'd be sitting there like moving cars at 11 o'clock at night, and people would show up. Hey, I just want to see what the cars are like. Hey, I like that car. Can you hold it for me tomorrow? We're like, yeah, come see me. And they're like, you can't do that. And I was like,
Yeah.
stop me. you know, and it was like, by the time 10 o'clock rolled around, you made $1,000. You helped 10 people. But it was so successful, the majority of the time. We had a one season that was pretty bad, but I mean, it really went over well. Some of the credit unions, we'd leave with, hardly any cars and a bunch of shit trade-ins, that we had to either ship back or drive back.
Yeah.
But I drove home a trade-in. It was a van. The person wanted it delivered after work, so I had to drive from Harrisburg to Allentown, which is probably a solid hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, right? Um, it was December, freezing in Pennsylvania. Did the whole paperwork. I got in their minivan, half a tank of gas. I'm like, perfect. I'll start driving. I didn't even have a winter jacket. It was like one of those things I just had
Yeah.
on a freaking suit jacket, and I'm driving, and all of a sudden it just dies. And it was right in this stretch between when 78 turns into 81. So I know that means nothing to you, but 78 goes straight across the state and then turns into 81. And there's a gap of like 3 or 4 miles where there's just no exits, no nothing.
Thanks, Matt.
And I stop
Yeah.
and I'm like, son of a bitch. And I look down, and it was back right. It was like I had the cell phones, right? I had my bag phone at the time, to give you an idea. And I called my dad, who was living in Lebanon at the time, because it was right at the Lebanon exit. And he picked up the phone. He goes, "Hello." I said, "Dad, it's Kerry." He goes, "Is it important? Because we're just getting ready to leave to go out to dinner."
Huh.
He goes, "I literally was leaving, and the door." I said, "It is an emergency," and I explained to him what was going on. And I called the lady, and I said, "Hey, there's something here about this vehicle I should know about." She's like, "What?" I said, "I just died." I said, "I still have a half tank of gas." She goes, "Oh, the gas gauge doesn't work. It's stuck on a half a tank." I was like, information that would have been really helpful, because you're trying to freaking hoodwink me to get every dollar out of your car. But
yeah.
here I am, and my dad. And thank God, because I would have had to walk a couple of miles, and it was effing like 5 degrees, 8. It was cold, and I didn't have any jacket, and I would have had to walk. My dad pulls up, not happy, looks at me, goes, "You're lucky you got me, because your walk would have been probably close to 5 miles to the gas station." I was like, "Well, love you too, Dad. Thanks for looking out for me." Put the gas in, and he put the gas in, didn't even say goodbye, just got in a car and left.
Jessica used to run out of gas a lot. Her dad used to tell me back in the day, all the time he'd have to go and give her gas. And I remember when we first started dating, and first it got pretty serious, and like the starter went out on her van or something. She called her dad, and he's like, your new boyfriend's a mechanic. Have him take care of it."
That's
And
great.
yeah, he was relieved. But I
I
went
was
down
gonna
years
say that was
ago.
probably his happiest moment is when it's like,
Yeah,
"Hey, this is Kevin, my boyfriend. He's a mechanic." He's like, "Thank God."
yeah, and I had to go repo a car. My sister's boyfriend, you know, it was in her name. He kept it. They broke up, wouldn't give it back to her. So
Oh,
me and my buddy Brian drove down, and she drove us down and to go pick up this Mustang. And every time you came to a stop, it would stall out and like it wouldn't want to restart. So you'd be cranking it, and we had to go through a toll, you know, over the Skyway, and so
ah.
we actually had to stop well before the toll, walk up to the toll driver, and said, "Listen, it's going to take us a minute to get this car started. I don't want to back your toll up. It was 50 cents at the time, and I go, what I need you to do is I need you to throw this in the basket because you had to put the money in the basket,
Yeah.
or you had to stop and get a receipt from him." And right as we're pulling it up, so we get it started, we're driving, he's timing it, he throws the money in the basket, and that arm's not going up at the very last second. That arm goes up, and we cruise through the toll. And I'm
Oh my
like, I
God,
was
that's
about to rip.
great.
Oh yeah, what a nightmare.
I used to love
But
repossessing cars. We used to do that
yeah,
at Enterprise, we used to have we'd go repossess cars. It was like credit card no longer charging, they're no longer returning our phone calls. This was well before cell phones. Well, we pull out the old, and there's times we had to go get keys cut because we weren't allowed to keep spare keys in the facility. Or we could get one key cut, definitely, because they were you had the key code. And
yeah,
a lot of times those key codes weren't always accurate, or something was up where it. So we had this thing that we bought that had all the different doohickeys and different devices to break into different kinds of vehicles, and they had the little manual. So the only car at that time I could never get into was a Nissan. I can
yeah,
get into anything, Oldsmobile, Chevy, Ford. It was
yeah,
like I can get in, and we'd have to pull up, and it's one guy. I'll never forget. We were in Pottstown. Every time he'd come in, he'd put down a wad of cash. His money was made on the streets, and we knew it. Super nice guy. Boom, boom, boom. He'd come in the next week, put down a wad of money. Okay, great. Boom, boom, boom. Next week he wouldn't show up. You'd page him, nothing. You call him, nothing. You page him. A week goes by. You drive down into an unsavory area of that part of town. You knew what you're going to get. There's the car. Get in it, pick it up, drive it back, close out the contract. He owes $800. He shows up 2 weeks later with the $800, another wad of money. So starts the cycle. That was our cycle with him, because it was like he stopped contacting and he stopped paying for the car when business was a little slow. And then when it picked back up again, he'd show back up again with a whole bunch of wad of money. And you had to accommodate some of the folks in your region. Like, it was no longer just credit card only. I worked in Pottstown and Pottsville. When you're in Pottsville, it's like 5 people in that area had credit cards. So you had a high amount of cash deals. And people are like, well, understand, I got cold hard cash. I go, well, understand this. I'm giving you a $10,000 vehicle and you're giving me $500. So
yeah,
do you see the math on the reason why there's a big risk here of me renting you this vehicle? Well, you have my address. I'm like, I got fucking a million addresses, and I'm picking up cars every week. But it is pretty comical. I could tell you some of those stories from the Enterprise days that were just like
yeah.
unbelievable shit.
Tracy,
Unbelievable.
I think you're the only one watching on Facebook, Tracy. I think everybody else is watching on YouTube and Twitter. That's probably why we've got tons of comments.
Yeah,
Just not on. I think you're the first person on Facebook.
yeah. Facebook is it.
We had a local used car dealership years ago. Went to they would put like this little key code in your car, this little box. So you'd go in each week and you'd pay your $50 or $100 for your weekly payment, and then they would put in a key. They'd punch their number and their car would run for another week. And then if you didn't
Oh,
make your
really?
payment,
Oh, wow.
the car wouldn't start anymore. And then they went to remote disabling it. So
Oh,
you
okay.
could make a direct deposit, and then it would automatically send a signal to the car because it worked off of like a
Just
phone
like the
line or whatever.
breathalyzer thing, right? You got to
Yeah. Oh
breathe into
yeah.
the tube to start the car. That's
Oh,
funny.
yeah, those people are a pain in the ass because when they come into our shop and they're like, oh, I got a breathalyzer. I'm like, all right, just give me the number, and we'll call and have it disabled for the day while we're working on it. No, I don't want to do that. They charge me $100, and I go, I can't have you here every time I need to because I'm diagging a car. I can't have you come out every time in the shop to blow in this thing. I go, I'm not doing it. And these other shops, I'm like, then take it somewhere else.
Can't you
I'm
blow
like,
into it?
yeah, what's that?
Can't you blow it?
Yeah.
I'm
So
just joking.
my other guy Eric
That's
will
great.
blow into it.
Fuck, that's gross. No way.
Somebody else's thing, but yeah, all they have to do is call, or we can call, with the customer there. Hey, we've got this car. We need the code to disable it, or if you can remote disable it, for 6 hours or 24 hours on the day, we're going to have the car, and then they charge the customer.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So 35 degrees, smoking a Tarano.
Nice.
So, yeah,
That's not bad place to be. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I was joking around because I knew just the thought of you blowing into that tube probably just makes you want to gag.
Oh God, not happening. And then like I said, and then there are times where the devices get hooked up pretty well, but then you're doing a diag sometimes, and it's just like it's leading back to what they tapped into, and it's like, God, what are you doing? It's like I don't want to work on this because did they hook it up wrong? They tap into the wrong wire. It's or do it wrong. And it's just like, I don't want to work on this. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I just tell myself, I'm not your guy. This isn't the shop for you. So take it somewhere else. I don't want to deal with your fucking nonsense. On your
Have you had to work on a vehicle that was handicap enabled?
Yeah, very rarely. Usually it's the minivans, and we depending on what needs to be done. Like I said, sometimes we don't, because we just don't have the the facilities to work on them, or or the lift space. And but we do try and accommodate them the best we can. I mean, we don't get into the diagnostic procedures at all, only because like the underside, like the fuel lines are now hidden, the brake lines are now hidden, wiring, is just because of the way they got to adapt the handicap van. So if it's like drivability issues, a lot of times like we can't get into this because it's just like these are hand built vehicles. These aren't mass produced. They're running extension wires, and it's just, we just can't get into it. It'd be too much.
Right.
So yeah. And then replacing components sometimes, and a shock goes bad. Well, it's not just a standard shock. Now I got to call the company and find out what shock
they're
they
custom
use.
vehicles, because I know like for Enterprise, we would have vehicles that were equipped with hand controls that almost like it looked like it was aftermarket. Like, I'm going to put in this hand controller, which operates the gas, operates the brake, so everything can be operated up top. You ever see those?
Yeah, not all the time, not as much anymore. We used to see them a lot when I was at my Sarasota location. It just reminds me of my good buddy Anthony. He died a few years ago. He was a dwarf, and he had pedal extensions on his little S10 Blazer. But there was enough of the brake and gas pedal that you could bypass the extensions.
Okay.
And you could just put your toe, just the tip of your boot, on it and work the gas and the brake, but you had to be real fucking careful. He took it to our local AMCO because he was having transmission issues. So he's inside signing all the paperwork to drop it off and have him look at the transmission. And all of a sudden he said he heard this big loud crash, and there everybody's like, what the fuck? He goes out, they rammed his truck into the side of the building, trying to drive it. And a
little more than a toe.
A little more than that. But yeah, if you're, because they just unbolt, if they did in that situation, they should have just unbolted the pedal extensions.
Yeah.
And then you drive it like a regular vehicle, but yeah, it's the handicap ones. Like we every now and then, like, we get the vans and they're blown out shock, and hopefully they're like they use like a Monroe, and there's a part number on the shock. We can call Napa and be like, hey, what did this, give me one of these shocks. And it's like on a Dodge Caravan, like, oh yeah, that's from a 2005 Silverado, so you got to use a heavier duty shock because of all the, but if it's
all the
not,
stuff that they carry in there.
But if it's not on there, I got to call the manufacturer and be like, hey, I have this and this. What shocks did you guys use on this vehicle? And they're like, oh yeah, that's from a so-and-so. And then it's a pain in the butt. So, we tried.
We had a few vehicles there. I know a couple of Chevy Lumas, and I think a couple of Fords that had a Ford Crown Vics that had the hand controls, the metal ones that were all looked like aftermarket, and they were usually passed around the fleet far from everybody didn't have one, so if someone needed one, it was usually someone who had they called in and they said, hey, I need this, so they'll schedule their appointment for later in the week so you could actually get it from another city or another branch that actually had it. We have our drivers go out and go to Allentown and take it over to Bethlehem, or take it up to Hazleton or what have you. But we had a few of them that were all those hand controls. I drove in one of them before, and I started fiddling around with it. I was like, I just disengaged and used the pedals. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah. We get that. We get some. We used to get a lot more of the left-hand drive vehicles for the mail carriers, and so we'd get that, or right-hand drive vehicles for the mail carriers. Those they were a little odd, but I mean, it was driving on the opposite side, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, you get some of those kind of crazy.
So we got Cigar Panda here, and I think we're friends on Facebook, but at least he's using a Panda. So a funny story, Cigar Panda. So I own Trash Panda cigars. And I remember when we first had our logo made and debuted, and Trash Panda is a raccoon. So I had so many people reaching out to me. Hey, I think your designer doesn't know what he's doing. They use the raccoon as your logo. And I'm like,
that's a fucking Trash Panda.
I go, that's what a Trash Panda is. It's a raccoon, so. Yeah.
That's the joke.
Yeah.
Look at Tracy. I'm puffing and pondering while I'm sitting out in the cold, but enjoying the show. Listen, you shouldn't be, if you're enjoying the show and you're smoking a cigar, the pondering there is complete. You have pondered the reasons why. You're enjoying a good cigar. You're enjoying a good show. Just puff away and make sure the heater's on.
Yeah, hopefully you got a good outside heater. It is now, I think, officially springtime here in Florida. I think we hit 82 today. So I think our winter has finally, last week was winter here in Florida. So a good thing that broke. So I think we're in the clear and we're in the spring. So
I hope the next 2 days, it's been pretty cold down here. This is the coldest winter we've had in a long time. And today it got up to it was in the 40s. It's still 46 right now, right? But it was a cold 48. Normally when shit's 40s, because it's been getting in the low 40s, and it's when the sun's out, it's like the afternoon we get a couple of hours where it's really beautiful and very comfortable. But today it was raining and it was cloudy. So when you get 48 degrees with rainy and cloudy, for some reason that cold weather, with that humidity, it just kind of every joint aches at that point because it's a very cold 48. Tomorrow we're supposed to pop up close to 60, and it's going to be sunny, and then also in the 60s on Wednesday. So it'll be really nice to be able to have some windows open, get some fresh air flowing. I think at that point it's going to be nice, but it's been relatively chilly for being in South Carolina. We're in the foothills of North Carolina. We're in the northwestern part of South Carolina. But this winter has been chilly. I mean, it's hit some pretty nasty lows. We even got some snow this year, which wasn't much, but it's more than we've gotten over the last couple of years. So your 80s, good for you, Kev.
I tell you, we had a company come out and do blow-in insulation a couple weeks ago in the whole house, and Jessica asked them, "Was like, hey, do you guys have enough to do above the garage? Because generally garages don't get insulated." And they're trying to give her some bullshit line about the house being built different. You don't usually insulate above the garage. It can't handle the weight. I'm like, that's the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard. And so they said they had enough. So they blew they did about 8 inches in the rest of the house. They had enough to do about 2 inches above the garage. And even that 2 inches, even when it's cold, it's probably 20 degrees difference,
Really?
like 20 degrees warmer
Yeah.
in that garage, even doing that small bit of insulation.
It is. That windows, man.
So,
People don't realize just good windows. Fuck.
oh yeah, the leaf and ash. I think I'm smoking or Giuseppe or something. I don't know.
It's not San Giuseppe. I looked it up. It's not. I don't know what it is. That I did reverse search, and that's what came up. But his logo it's similar to that, but it's not it.
Yeah. The key of doing a good cigar, a band that you can fucking read. If people can't read the cigar band, they're not going to buy your cigar. Probably why I haven't heard of this company.
And and when you look them up, they do a couple of cigar brands for they do a Mickey Mantle collectible box.
Yep.
They do a John Daly. They do
okay.
Jose Reyes. So they do a couple of things like that. But honestly, when you're looking at it, his name that has the band with
Robert.
The band with the with that coat of arms, his name's on it, and it's a different coat of arms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
EVs keep coming down the alley. I don't hear them.
What?
He says EVs keep coming down the alley, and he doesn't hear them till they're right next to me because I'm facing away from the wind.
That's hilarious.
Hope they keep missing me in my lawn chair. Yeah. There's the for the Association of Blind People. They're really getting on. They want EVs to start making noise. Because
really?
they can't hear them at crosswalks, and it's being dangerous. So they're but then people want EVs because they don't make noise.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. Now going in reverse, you can always hear an EV. Those motors wind up in reverse, so you can always hear them things backing up. But yeah, going forward, I could see that. Elon Musk got in trouble by the I forget what was it, the NHSTA, because you can make the car make a fart noise, and then that was like against the law. Like it had, like if you wanted a horn, it had to be within a certain. Usually, it's F major is what a horn honks in.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have a little bit of range, and he wanted the horn to make fart noises. He got in trouble, and they had to disable that. But yeah,
no shit. Poor Elon. He gets too much shit, that guy.
That he does. So
he does.
All right, Kerr. I think it's I just like zipped by. Man,
yeah,
like
that was a
2 hours.
Yeah.
That was a fast show. So this coming up Monday, we do not have a Puff and Ponder podcast because we got our first episode back of the I'd Tap That Cigar Show. So we're going to be doing that once a month. And then 3 times a month, we'll be doing the Puff and Ponder podcast. So tune in. And most people watching this, it's going to be on the same channels that you're watching it now. So we'll be going live next Monday, but we'll have a guest. We got I forget the owner's name from the company Kerr was smoking earlier. Now I can't remember.
The Drifter Cigars.
Drifter Cigar Company. So super cool to find out some info on that company.
Good cigar. So, that's why I'm smoking the Hooligan. It's a really good, tasty cigar, and looking forward to get back and do a show. It'll be get back in the saddle, and after we do that show, we're gonna be like, man, I really do like those. It's gonna make us appreciate the Puff and Ponder even more.
Oh yeah, for sure. So all right, Kerr, actually we forgot to do our second ad read, so I'm going to add this in on the end here. Are you looking to cast crystal clear, deep epoxy molds for objects, memorabilia, or flowers? Do you want to pour a richly tinted, thick epoxy rubber table? How does only one single epoxy pour sound to you? Your quest is over, friend. You have found America's #1 deep pour casting epoxy, voted best thick pour resin epoxy for clarity and all-around performance by famed YouTuber woodworker Matt's Woodworks and Cigar Prop. That's all the epoxy I've been using for the last 5 years. No more waiting around between pouring multiple resin layers. Your live edge wood river table or thick cast epoxy art project will remain the consistent high quality appearance you deserve and expect. We guarantee you will save time, cost, and effort with Wise Bond. Coupon or link and coupon code in the description below. Care, any parting words of wisdom?
None. We need to have an intro and outro song,
Yeah.
and some music or something. But appreciate everybody hopping on. I think we've been gaining a lot. We've been gaining every week with viewers, and we really enjoy this. And what Kevin always says is, if there's anything that you want to hear us talk about, any topics, subjects, please share. I mean, this is where we sit around, we smoke cigars, but we talk about a lot more than just cigars. So we appreciate your support, and can't wait to do this again.
Right on. We'll see everybody on Monday for the I Tap That Cigar Show.